One of my favorite ways to fish for walleyes, maybe in all of the walleye world, is jig fishing. And in fact, all three of us like to jig fish in one place, and that's the Missouri River up by Bismarck, North Dakota. The reason we like it here is we all got history here. Tom and I have both won championships up here. Just recently, Mike won the North Dakota Team of the Year for the AIM Weekend Walleye Series. We're in mid-October, and the fish are starting to transition up from the bigger Lake Oahe down south up into this pre-spawn area. It's also a place where they like to eat a lot. So we're gonna get up here and do a little jig fishing. We're gonna get up here and do a little hook setting. Even though it's a little cold out, hopefully the walleye fishing is hot, and we'll show you the next bite.
Just looking for the next bite, next bite, next bite, next bite. Just looking for the next bite. Yes, we did.
It's kind of funny to think what appears to look like a giant lake is actually part of a river system.
A little frost on the pumpkin this morning. Oh yeah.
And that is exactly what Lake Oahe is, a giant reservoir that spans North and South Dakota on the mighty Missouri River.
Bigger, we need bigger. No, boys. Good one? Decent.
The typical behavior for Lake Oahe, Missouri River reservoir walleyes may be generally known, but a low current scenario is having an unforeseen yet interesting effect on this traditional fall jigging bite.
It looks like a bigger one, Keith?
Bigger than some of them.
Areas that are normally saturated are proving spotty. There are tons of good walleye in the system, but so far, they're not concentrating in their usual transitional holding patterns.
Starting to kind of move the boat around a little bit more. It seems like they aren't really swimming around. Like we got to go to them instead of them coming to us.
I think that's what's happening. The current, there's not a lot of current right now, and I think that might have something to do with it. They're a little more lethargic.
It's getting to be a beautiful day.
Oh, it is. Beautiful.
Started out a little nasty and cold, but it's
well
starting to
worth
get warm.
It warms you up.
It's mid-October and we got a couple different things going here on the Missouri River. The first thing is that we're in a part of the Missouri River called Lake Oahe. Now Lake Oahe is a big reservoir, but we're actually in the upper reaches of it where it's actually starting to turn back into a river. And what naturally happens this time of year is the walleyes start to transition from the southern part up to this northern part. They're getting ready to spawn in the spring. They're coming up here looking for food. They really want to stock up and bulk up this time of year. Now what they're usually doing is using current to position themselves so that the food comes to them. Well, what we've got going on this year is a really slow current situation, and a lot of times there's just not a lot of current to position them in small areas. So what we're having to do to fish these fish is actually use the trolling motor and actually drive around or move around with it. I'm using the heading lock. I just press heading lock, I get it going like 0.4, 0.5 miles an hour, and I just keep the boat moving. When I got to turn, I just use the key fob again, turn a little bit, keep milling around until we actually find a little pot of fish. Once you find a pot of fish like that, then what you really want to do is stop and hold yourself there, because those fish again are milling around. So fish are transitioning, we got low current, but if you move around a little until you find them, you can put a lot of fish in the boat.
Tom, Mike, and Keith are also paying very close attention to what manner of cadence is prominently triggering bites.
Oh yeah, it's got some weight to him for sure. Come on, fish. Come on, fish. Oh yeah, nice fish. Get him, Mike.
Nice. Look at that one.
Nice fish.
Mr. Kemos.
Look at how fat that thing is.
Look at the belly on him.
Man, it just clocked it too. Look at that jig in his mouth.
It's perfect.
That's like textbook right there.
Beautiful.
That's exactly where you want him to be hooked.
Pink and white.
I think I'm making the switch here.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, these fish they don't want that bait very far off the bottom. They're just totally glued down on there.
They're a little lethargic. Maybe their water temps are falling, and things are changing. So I think that's kind of what's happening here. Is they're adjusting right along with it.
Well, we'll adjust too. Nice job, Kemos.
Yeah, nice
Get him
work.
back in there.
Yep. Here he goes.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Tracker Boats. Fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Catch more fish. And Motor Guide. Accuracy matters. Closed captioning for the next bite is provided by Power Pole, the ultimate in shallow water anchors. With cooling late fall water temperatures happening, it's the time of year that walleyes are preparing for winter and spring spawning by feeding more aggressively.
Just came right off the bottom. I'm not jigging it very much. I don't know if this cold weather's got them a little bit more lethargic or what, but you never even feel the bite. It's just kind of lift up and
Just presence there.
You know, one of the cool things about fishing with guys like Tommy and Keith, I mean, you get out on these bodies of water, and here's a body of water that I've spent my whole life growing up on, the Missouri River system, Lake Oahe, and traditionally these fish on this body of water are very aggressive feeders, and for whatever reason, you know, it could be some of the cold fronts that are taking place right now, the water temperature's dropping, but these fish are kind of lethargic, and you know, if you pay close attention, the fish are going to tell you what they want, and today these two guys keyed in on the simple fact that normally these fish on this reservoir, when they hit it, you set the hook, and today now when they're hitting it, you actually got to give them a fair amount of time, which is kind of uncommon for this area. But you know, fishing with guys of this caliber, I mean, that's the type of things that they figure out, and we can all learn from it. And I think that's one of the most valuable things that has happened to us today. Fish.
Good one?
Yeah, good one.
Tommy,
Definitely.
what are you doing back here messing around with that jig? Mess around over there. I'll get the net.
Here it comes. Ready? Nice.
That is a nice fish. Look at how this thing bit.
Unreal. Oh, man.
That's where you want them to bite, right there,
that's
isn't
the
it?
perfect spot right there. Right on the top of the mouth.
Got the net even coming through just a little.
This has just been incredible.
Just smacked it right on the nose there.
Look at just so healthy.
That's a great fish.
That is.
Chunky.
Yes. Awesome.
I mean, they're just hard chunky.
Yeah, healthy.
All right, let me get them back in the water here.
Definitely.
Sight Bites. Real-time fishing information from all the pros in one place at walleyechatter.com.
When you're using these little baits like this flicker shad or flicker minnows, they catch a lot of fish. Sooner or later, the hooks are going to get beat up. Let's say you get a northern and it twists around the net, you've got a bent up hook. Time to change the hook. On social media, I see a lot of people say, well, I'm going to go to a heavier hook. Please don't do that. If you do that, it's going to affect the action, and the action of these baits are key in their fish catching ability. You have to replace the hook with almost the exact same size and weight. And the hook of choice is the Mustad Ultra Point Kevin Van Dam Triple Grip Elite Series. It's called the TG58 NP-BN. It's the hook that I use for tournaments, and when I'm going into a tournament, I'll actually switch all my baits to this hook, exactly the same size, exactly the same weight. It's a little tougher hook though. Get yourself a little split ring pliers. It's got to be a smaller one to work real well on these small baits, and it's a very easy switch out, and you're going to end up getting a lot more fish at the end of the day because you're using the right replacement hook.
So the equipment that we're using for jigging out here is pretty standard stuff. I mean, first of all, use a no stretch line, whether that's nanofill or it's fire line. That no stretch line is going to give you a lot of sensitivity, and here you need that sensitivity not only to maintain bottom contact, but we've had several flurries of fish where they just aren't biting that hard. It seems like you almost got to give them a little bit of line, and because of that, I'm going to a little bit longer leader than I normally would go to. I'm fishing probably a 3, almost a 4 foot leader on here to give me a little bit of stretch, a little bit of absorption there so that fish fish maybe doesn't drop that jig as quickly. Now you still need a very sensitive rod for this. I like using a 6-foot medium light rod. The reason for medium light is because when you do get those fish on that no stretch line, you got to have shock absorption. These fish are fighting really hard. We're using 1/4 ounce jigs. Maybe if it gets a little bit windier, a little bit deeper, you would go up to a 3/8 ounce jig. Just make sure you can feel the bottom real well. First thing that I like to tip on here is what's called a twin tail setup. Taking a 3-inch gulp minnow on the bottom, I'm taking a 2.5-inch minnow up on top and just kind of piggybacking them there. Sometimes the bigger profile is going to get you some bigger fish. One other thing you might want to look at is if you're not real comfortable with fishing artificial tails, take and put an artificial one on the bottom and then a smaller fathead up on top. Again, it gives it that twin tail look. It gives it that little bit bigger profile. The other thing we are though using is just good old school jigging a minnow here. Just a fathead right through the head like that, and again a 1/4 ounce jig. So pretty standard stuff for when you're out here jig fishing. Get that sensitivity though. Gotta feel that bite, gotta feel the bottom. That's what gets the fish in the boat.
One of the most important tertiary factors for successful walleye fishing is letting the fish tell you what they want.
Mike, look at this. Those are tooth marks.
Yeah, you got bit there.
That's a little sloppy there. I never even felt a bite. I better tighten the ship up a little bit here.
Thinking critically and thus creatively about the action of a bait can expand your choices in presentation.
That was awesome.
What'd you pitch it out there, huh?
I pitched out and I was just picking it up off of that lip and that bait was swimming down. Good fish. There we go. Nice fish. Nice. That was awesome. I was just bringing it off the break. I picked it up and I could feel that tail gliding down and boom.
Look how fat that one is too. That one hasn't missed many suppers, that one. Awesome fish.
These Missouri River fish in the fall, they're just footballs.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
Is that on the ripple shad?
Yep. I just put that on and tried pitching it around, and what was a cast before I took a look at the tail and I'm like, there's a couple teeth marks in there. That's a problem because I never even felt the bite. There was no mistaking that bite though. That's awesome. When the water temperatures start to cool down in the fall, I like to go with a paddle tail type plastic, in particular using a 3-inch ripple shad right now. I fish it on a heavier jig head, I'm using a 3/8 ounce jig head here, or I'll use a 1/4, but I really like a 3/8, and the reason for that, all I have to do is just lift the bait up just a little bit, and the weight of that jig head keeps that tail moving just enough that I get a little bit of that side to side, which kind of mimics like a dying bait fish. A lot of times this time of year, when the water temperatures do drop, you'll start to get a little bit of a shad die off. That type of a retrieve can do a really good job of mimicking that and pick you up a reaction strike even from it from fish that aren't real aggressive due to the cold water.
Bird hunters may know the excitement of shooting banded ducks and geese, but it's not something that you'd necessarily think of first when it comes to catching walleyes. However, in order to increase knowledge on both population and movement, 10,000 walleyes have been tagged, with 5% having a number worth $100.
I don't know what to spin it around and see.
Not 100.
It's not 100? Well, one of the unique things that we're finding, we've seen it now happen today, is we're catching a lot of fish that are tagged. And what they're doing with the tags, it's kind of a joint effort between North Dakota and South Dakota. They're trying to study the movements of these fish. Some of the tags, they throw a reward on it. They're able to collect a lot of data. There's a number on there referencing that fish. It'll kind of tell you where they caught it, where they released it, roughly, how old the fish is and how long it was when they tagged it. So it's kind of an effort between both games and fish to see what's happening on the Missouri River system throughout.
There he is, Mike.
Good one, Tom?
This is a really good one. Oh yeah, there he is.
All right, good one?
Oh yeah.
Come on, boys, get this in the boat.
It was such an awesome bite too.
Oh, he's got a good head thumb too.
Oh yeah. Get ready, Mike. Here he comes.
Oh yeah!
Look at that thing.
I gotta come back here and see what you're using.
What a pig.
That's a nice one.
Look how fat that one is.
Sucked her too, didn't it?
Oh, it
Sucked
just
it right in.
absolutely whacked it.
It's got some jewelry.
Wait a while, we got some jewelry.
Nice. Look at what number that is. What'd you catch that thing on you? Oh, a little pink and white head and a Ripple shad.
Oh yeah. Hey, this could be $100 fish
It
right
could be.
here.
Are we splitting the money? Well, we're seeing, I mean, they're getting like this more and more. I mean, they've got so much food in the system right now, and they're getting super healthy. And man, every time you catch one, it's just a thrill.
Yeah, you can see, I mean, we've noticed some schools of bait swimming through here, so they're obviously loading up for the winter.
Yeah, they're getting ready.
The next bite is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly. Tracker Boats. Fish the finest. Bass Pro Shops. Your adventure starts here. Berkeley. Catch more fish. Mustad. Stay sharper longer. Lowrance. Find, navigate, dominate. Motor Guide. Accuracy matters. Strike King. Legacy of domination for 50 years. And Power Pole. Swift, silent, secure. Hot topics, leading information, and tackle and techniques to make you a better angler. Presented by Mercury.
Maintenance of outboards is something that's so important to pay attention to, whether you're looking at these smaller outboards or the larger ones. And an impeller is very important in these outboards. It simply keeps your engine running at the correct temperatures. So pay attention to these simple steps to make sure that you get that steady flow of cold water and have those engines running perfect all year long. So as you can see, it's really just a few simple steps to change out that impeller. So if you're mechanically handy, go ahead and try it yourself. But if you're not, make sure you go into those Mercury dealerships and let those technicians take care of it to ensure that your engine's gonna run great all year long.
Current has been the name of the game, and Oahe may be a lake, but it is still a reservoir on the Missouri River.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
It's not like Keith, Tom, and Mike are pulling into areas that look good for current and immediately marking walleyes.
It's crazy, you know, you said that these fish are just showing up here and all of a sudden we just look and there's a pile of them moving in here.
Unreal. It's awesome.
Sometimes they have to set up and wait to see if a pot of fish will move in.
That was interesting. That thing, that was just it just barely touched it. It feels nice. There he is.
Nice fish. Nice.
Oh, the jig just popped out.
You owe me one.
Nice.
Very nice fish.
Oh, you were casting out?
You're out in the current out in the middle there.
Yeah, you know, we just came through here with the current and you had a couple bites there and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna pitch up current, kind of bring it in, and that thing, I just started hitting those rocks and bonk.
Awesome.
That's kind of a little neat area here because the the current kind of bounces off them rocks and probably creates, even though there's very little current, probably creates more than any place else around this area here.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Over my shoulder here, you can see that there's a rock point. And one of the things that you really want to pay attention to in a river type situation is the current. In a situation like we have right now, where the current is low, the fish are actually going to utilize that point, because what's happening is it's actually kind of condensing down the current. So what happens is the current will actually pick up in an area like that. It's kind of drawing the fish in, and they're actually using it to feed. So anytime that you're in a reservoir situation or a river situation, watch for places just like this, and they're funnels, they're places that the fish just congregate to. Here he is, Mike.
Fish?
Oh yeah.
Need the net?
Oh yeah, this is a good one, Mike. Oh yeah.
He's got a system.
It's crazy. They just want that jig just barely off bottom.
Pretty good head shake.
Oh yeah. That fish came right off of that current seam too. Oh yeah, it feels like a good one.
Looks like a really good one. Oh, nice fish.
Nice fish.
Oh, nice fish.
On fire, Kemos.
Look at that one.
That is a great, beautiful.
Look at that. Pops right out.
I mean,
You got him just right.
Ooh, nice fish.
that's crazy. Look at that
Nice.
belly.
Nice.
What's interesting though is I mean we kind of searched around a fair amount, but finally you find a little stretch, and if you find a little stretch, don't give up on it this time of year. Just kind of keep circling it. These fish are moving; they'll filter in. This one filtered in.
Oh yeah, it filtered in nicely.
That is a great fish.
Yeah, that's a nice
Well,
one.
I'll get him back in
Yeah,
there.
right.
There we go. Tell your friends how much fun you had. Speaking of having fun, I mean, we've just had a ride here. You know, when you come to Oahe right now, maybe there's not the giants in here that there used to be, but there is a lot of really, really nice, healthy fish, real solid fish, and ones that when they do bite really hard and bite good. So we've had a great time. You know, Tommy and I have got to fish here before for championships, won a couple of championships, in fact. Mike is fresh off a win for Team of the Year out here in North Dakota, and anytime I can come out and fish the Missouri River, I'm going to do it.
You don't want me up here for this?
I do. It's October, and a couple different things are going on in the Mississippi River here. First of all, we're in a part of the Mississippi, huh? Why isn't it the Mississippi? Huh?
The Mississippi is a river, just not the one we're fishing on.
Starts with an M, ends with an I. How'd you get my gulp back?
Sassy.
Hey Tom, can you come take this off for me?
Sure, I'll be up there in a couple minutes.
Come on, Tom. All right, I'll get it, Tom. Don't worry.
Careful. What's going on up there, Keith?
Got the big bite.
The Next Bite would like to thank Lake Oahe area guide Mike Peluso. For more information on Mike and the Lake Oahe area, or to book a guided fishing trip, visit www.mikepelusooutdoors.com.